Okay, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. We'll be doing a sort of a dual feed, whereas we are speaking here. And but just to alert you that the station will also be transmitting directly a live event, the Voice of Women Conference and Awards, the 8th in the series, Achieving Women's Inclusion for a Sustainable Nigeria. Just to say that, but our business on the program this morning is emerging sort of breakthroughs, diplomatic breakthroughs in terms of our relations with the UAE. And our guest is Ambassador Elijah Onyeagba, former Nigerian ambassador to Burundi. He joins us via Zoom. Good morning, Ambassador.
Good morning to you, Uncle Yuri. It's my pleasure to be here once again.
Thank you very much. You know, it's out there that there seem to be sort of shall we say, improvements in relations between us and the United Arab Emirates. But I suppose one has to be careful so as not to overstate the case. Might I ask you, what exactly, because there are a number of issues that do require squaring off between us and the UAE. What's the sense you have about maybe President Tinubu's administration, his intervention, and what the state of affairs is at the moment between Nigeria and the UAE? Especially as it relates to traveling, air travel.
Yes. Thank you very much. The overview of that, you remember that as at the time the president took over last year, we already had this issue of visa ban. We already had issues of remittances for UAE Airlines with respect to the Emirates, for example.
Yes.
That and Etihad, for example, that usually come to Nigeria because they had their, remittances stuck with the central bank for a while. And of course, that led them to discontinue the flights into the country. And in addition to that, we also had, visa ban related issues, So, of course, the president took over these relations from a very rocky standpoint. But of course, if you're in charge, once you become the president, you inherit both assets and liabilities. And I think that what has happened 2 days ago is a very good development because it basically means that we have restored the relations, especially as it has to do with the resumption of flight schedules into the country. And when I listened to the Minister of Aviation speak on this yesterday, he clearly made it, he clearly emphasized the fact that Nigeria had to review the bilateral air services agreement that they previously had with the UAE. And that it's not just the fact that we've opened our airspace to Emirates and, maybe Etihad to start coming in. It's also the fact that certain conditions and certain issues as relate to our own local airlines have also been addressed in that bilateral air services agreement. So that in itself represents a shift, it represents a breakthrough, it represents a win-win situation. So what I expect is that the local operators, for example, Air Peace and the likes, that have got the capacity to fly to the UAE should also have, the same way Emirates landed in Nigeria and have commenced the operation from October 1st this year. I also expect that level of reciprocity, and the minister also mentioned things like code sharing. Code sharing is a situation where you have one or two local airlines combining, to be able to take advantage of, opportunities that are out there. So I believe that a lot of work have gone in. And even when I also take this matter off of transport to visa as well, I also understand that there has been a lot of improvement with respect to, visa issuance to UAE. But I also get the sense that it's still a bit stringent. But in diplomatic circle, whatever you do to me, I do to you. The word is reciprocal. So I think that we've made a lot of improvements in that relations between Nigeria and the UAE.
Well, as I said at the beginning of the program, we'd also be simultaneously broadcasting a live event. It's time for that now. But we continue on this channel with Ambassador Elijah Onyema, former Nigerian ambassador to Burundi, as we look at President Tinubu's diplomatic shuttle and the UAE breakthrough, meaning that matters are indeed being sorted out. I suppose this, as you have emphasized in your response, it's largely about what is seen between the nations as fairness in the, in especially as it relates to air travel, and you were just speaking about some of our airlines. I wonder, their question has always been not being able to, repatriate, whatever their profits. All of that has been made easier, perhaps?
Yes, clearly, if you followed what the Central Bank of Nigeria has been dealing with since they took over this present administration, they had a huge backlog of foreign exchanges that they had to deal with here. And from all indications, it means that had been settled, and it also means that we've made progress. And if they hadn't succeeded, maybe they wouldn't have been able to resume operations. So it certainly means that those backlogs with respect to remittances and repatriation of their investments of funds that are trapped in Nigeria have been addressed. Obviously, that must have been one of the reasons why they have been able to come back, because they get a long time. This is about 2 years. For them to come back and start flying again with their first flight after that long break on the 1st of October. So I think we've made a lot of progress in that regard.
Yeah, but apart from, this air travel, which is, I imagine, the real highlight of this news that is gladdening the height of those in the diplomatic community, because it's all about harmonious relations between the countries. If you were to look at relations between the UAE and Nigeria, how would you just give us a capsule of the possibilities in there that we have to be careful to protect?
Well, in this business, every sovereign nation obviously tries to find partners, and I think that what Nigeria have done is to try to find a good partner, with the UAE. This is also one of the first trips that the president embarked on as soon as he became the president. A few issues were misrepresented at the time, but I think that a lot of work have gone in the last 1 year to try to address those issues. The president took over, office when I may even say that the relations between Nigeria and UAE were maybe at all-time low. I'm not quite sure if it's been worse than, what it was at the time, where Nigerians were banned from entering the country, where the airlines were not flying, where, our own airlines were also not allowed to go the other way, and quite a lot of, other issues. But I think a lot of work have gone into this direction. The visa ban issue, the resumption of flights, investment opportunities. Yes. There was even conversation with respect to having foreign exchange liquidity program, which was supposed to also help Nigeria deal with our own foreign exchanges as well, foreign exchange challenge that we have. But if you ask me, and if you look at the last 1 year, I think that while not even having ambassadors in place, a lot of work seems to be going into this shuttle diplomacy by the president himself.
Exactly.
Trying to see what is possible, trying to work out, how to be able to ameliorate or, really play a key role in trying to find a better working relations at a bilateral level with the United Arab Emirates. And I think that those issues have been addressed. Yes, a lot of Nigerians are still complaining that the issue of visa is a bit, the challenges are stringent. But I mean, the door is open. And in diplomatic relations, what you constantly do is to review. When you agree on issues, you keep on reviewing them to make them better. So whatever the conditions are, we will continue to review the situations to make them better. But I think that we have actually turned the corner. My honest assessment is that we have moved from point A to B in that relations. And that is also the reason why, you can see the flights coming back. But most importantly, what I'd like to also see is the reciprocity. What is in it there for Nigerian local airlines? And I believe that the minister as much, gave out a lot of information yesterday when he was being interviewed by the media. So we want to begin to see the implementation of what is in it for Nigeria, because it's not just enough for Emirates to come here and fly us to Dubai or fly Nigerians that are traveling to Dubai. What about, and of course, to other destinations? What about Air Peace? What about United Airlines? What about other Nigerian airlines that have got the capacity to fly to other routes? So it has to be reciprocal, and that's why I'm very happy that the Minister of Aviation took it upon himself to be able to review the existing bilateral agreement and then make some updates and make some reviews on them. So we don't have the details now in the public space, but one thing is very clear. We have made progress, and we wait to see the details of what has been agreed on, while we also look forward to local operators and Nigerian business people take advantage of this improvement in bilateral relations. Indeed.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. George, for holding on, which has been for a quick moment. Good morning to you. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Pierre. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Good morning to the ambassador. Okay, in the first place, I keep wondering, each time you bring the ambassador to this program, I keep wondering why he had to leave service so early at a young age. We still need people like this in our...
I don't know that he has left the service. I think he's in between postings. But could you quickly sort that out, Ambassador?
Okay. All right. That's by the way.
No. You brought up something. The ambassador is about to respond, and I'm interested myself.
Thank you very
let me
much.
listen to him then.
Thank you very much, my brother. I am a political ambassador, and every ambassador, first of all, serves at the pleasure of the president.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Anytime you're being called upon to serve, it's always a privilege, irrespective of your age. So at the moment, I had finished my tenure as an ambassador of Nigeria to Burundi. I've gone back to what I used to do, and should we be called upon at any time, we will also be ready. So it's not a right or privilege or to say that he's old or young. I think what's important is that we have people able and capable to deal with issues.
All right, then. I thank you very much. Thank you for that clarification. Mr. George, I hope you heard it, but please go ahead now.
So I'm happy that he's still on board in English.
He's available, as he has just explained.
Uncle I am particularly happy the way Festus Keyamo is handling the aviation sector. This is what we expect other ministers to be doing. If you do something to Nigerians and there's no reaction from our own country, we make ourselves to be looked down upon, as important as we are. These countries that we adore, they need us more than we need them. Because the resources in this country, they don't have them. It's just because we are unable to effectively explore our resources and maximize it, we will develop better than them. I don't see any reason why Nigerians should be in other countries and they will maltreat us and get away with it. What Festus is doing is what other ministers should be doing. In fact, the Minister of Foreign Affairs should have been championing things like this. We have local airlines. You saw what it did to British Airways. And at the end of the day, he succeeded. Now you say you must accommodate our local flights at Heathrow Airport. If you don't, we will also ban your own from landing in Lagos or landing in Abuja. You can't land in the two cities at the same time. That's the way to deal with these people. And you can see that they are concurring. We have what it takes to also wield some elements of power because we have the strength. What he is doing is very good. The United Emirates, Air Peace has been struggling to have landing rights in that country. And they are the ones making all the dollars from us. You saw how much the CBN paid to them recently. Can we just be letting them explore our resources when we should also be getting something from them? This is what I want Mr. President to look into in this era of, what do we call it, reshuffling of cabinet. We need a Minister of Foreign Affairs like the one you are talking to.
Indeed.
Not the one that will just be following the president to everywhere he goes. That's not what the ministry is about. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. George. Okay. Well, I don't know what to add to that. It was an opinion, but one understands it. I don't know. You know, it is so that Mr. President himself, when it comes to these matters, he surely must have had an intervention in all of this. The ministers will sort out the nuts and the bolts, but it is the president that, you know, I suppose the interest that he has shown, and, you know, that must count for quite a bit, won't it, in terms of the resolution of these matter, especially as... Okay, please go ahead, sir.
Well, Uncle Yuri, I think it's important that we all know that the president is basically the #1 salesperson for this country. And to that extent, he's also by extent the chief foreign affairs minister. Even though there is actually a foreign affairs minister, the idea of being able to sell your country to the world is primarily one of the responsibilities of Mr. President. And he hasn't actually shied away from that responsibility. And that's why he has actually led from the front foot right from the day he assumed office as the president of the country. If you also look at the focus of what he's done, you know, his shuttle from, you know, first of all to India, to UAE, to Saudi Arabia, to Germany, to China, and all of this when he put them together, engagements with the European Union and so on and so forth. All of this is about trying to sell the country. All of this is about trying to explain to, you know, the international community what your domestic policies are about and the opportunities that are abound. You know, all of this is about improving our security, because I can actually isolate areas of focus for Mr. President in all of his, because I've actually paid attention to his diplomatic shuttle. He's looked at the area of national security, area of boosting the economy and ensuring that there is development. And that's why you see him calling for foreign investors to come into Nigeria. That has given birth to the commitment of about $30 billion that he made. He talked about, he spoke about in his independence address. Areas of improvement in agriculture, areas of improvement in power, like the Siemens deal and the engagement he had in Germany, areas, you know, trying to find a way or ways of optimizing the country's oil and gas resources, areas of also trying to improve transportation and develop efficient transportation mechanisms. And all of this is actually the responsibility of Mr. President, and every other person he has hired is actually an agent trying to do the bidding of Mr. President, but also bringing it home. I think a lot of credit must also be given to the Minister of Aviation, and of course, to an extent, the Minister of Foreign Affairs as well, because some of these engagements are not, as a minister, whatever you know, sector you are in, engagement at bilateral level must always be done in conjunction or in collaboration with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So they are not aloof in this matter. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs also will always play a critical role. In fact, they are actually the melting pot of these engagements. Indeed. You know, because you can't go there and start having meetings. You must have representative from the ministry. Remember, Nigeria have also got an embassy in United Arab Emirates as well. So staff of the embassy there are the ones that are working together. And even when these agreements are signed, it's also the repository of these agreements are also the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as well, because when it comes to implementation, ambassadors will always sit down at the embassies and look at the agreements that have been signed upon and then see how to implement them. So clearly, we will not, you know, just isolate one person. But all of this points towards one thing, and that one thing is to ensure that our negotiators negotiate better at the international level, whether at bilateral level or at multilateral level. I think these are the issues. And we have seen that the Minister of, you know, what has happened in aviation, particularly as it has to do with our relations with UAE. A lot of work have gone in. Okay. And I'm happy that...
Ambassador, I beg your pardon for interrupting you. But Sulaiman in Benue has been waiting to join the program. So let me bring Sulaiman onto the program. Good morning, Sulaiman, and thank you for holding on. Simon. Good morning, Simon, and thank you for holding on. Simon.
Yes, good afternoon, Kuyori.
Good morning, sir. Okay, go ahead. You're on air now.
My take on this matter is the diplomatic efforts by Mr. President will not help Nigeria. Will not help Nigeria only in the aviation sector, but also in other areas like agriculture, manufacturing, and other economic policies. So all I want to add is I want to congratulate our president and to encourage him to continue the diplomatic effort that he can be able to turn around the economy of the nation.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Simon, for that. And this goes back, Ambassador, this goes back to what you were saying, that it's like the president is like the chief ambassador of the country, and wherever he shows, clearly he's interested in all things Nigerian, but the extent to which he, what is the word now? Shall we say intervenes or shows that it is important to him, the success of such relations, is surely going to smoothen the path and send indications to the other side that this is something that Nigeria takes importantly. So when Simon brought up the matter about, well, again, the president mustn't spread himself too thin. He does have capable, officials. So I suppose there's going to be that balance. But Mr. President will come in from time to time, as perhaps he has done in this case, to show that this is of the utmost importance to the people of Nigeria.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, everyone that represents the president, both as a minister or as an ambassador, you serve at the pleasure of the president. So,
yes,
as ambassador, for example, if you're posted to a mission, there is clearly a charter, a service charter that details what is expected of you to do, within the period that you are representing Mr. President. So I am just basically saying that. A lot of work have gone into this in the last 1 year, presidents particularly, being at the forefront of it. We will do better. We can always also improve on what it is. But Nigerians are very, they are hoping to be able to get a relief in the local economy, a relief in our relations, and a way that our citizens are treated better. We don't want to continue to get the shorter end of the stick, and that's what I see that is happening, because every agreement that we have entered into, if we need to review them to ensure that we have a good deal, we will have to do that. You don't want situations where, our planes are being seized on the account of what happened there, and you find out that when these things happen, it's not good for the country. It doesn't even give us a good image. But I think that, the focus and the determination and the passion with which the president has gone about this is very encouraging. And we look forward to better engagements in other sectors as well. Remember, I had highlighted areas that the president has been all up and about, trying to explain to the international community and trying to explain to foreign investors as well. Because in trying to drive your foreign policy, you should also be able to explain what is going on at your domestic level. Okay,
let me bring in, I beg your pardon, Ambassador, sorry. Benga in Abuja, thank you for holding on. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Yori, and good morning to Ambassador.
Yes.
Mr. Yori, in this discussion, there is something fundamental, foundational that we have not touched. Maybe because it is about finance. When the president floated the Naira, people were against it. They say that brought hardship, something. Naira is now 1,000 something, 600 to $1. They will not look at the gain of it. That if the president have not been able to float the Naira, we would not have been able to pay back the $7 billion trap in Nigeria that made institutions, investors like Emirates from coming to Nigeria again for the past 2 years. All the shopping abroad would not have been possible, would not have been any gain if people put money as a trap in Nigeria, because you can't trap people money in Nigeria, invest some in Nigeria, and be looking for another investor. Nobody will come there. And because of that, that's not able to clear the $7 billion that was trapped here. And this one has brought Emirates coming back to Nigeria and other visits of the shuttle of the president to other countries. encourage investors to want to listen to us. That is very basic in what we have discussed here. And we need to emphasize it for Nigeria to know that if that naira floating has not been possible, it will be pretty difficult for government to clear the $7 billion. And secondly, somebody talk about the Minister of Foreign Affairs that is not doing his work. No, he has done a lot because he is the one that will go and do the groundwork before the next visit any country. If he's not doing his work, it will be pretty difficult for the president to get audience in other countries. So we need to commend him for his work. I mean, it's not you come to the television station and be talking on the media that people are doing, you do your work. The results we are getting internationally show that the minister of
Sorry, Benga. Okay, but thank you very much for calling in. Did get you. Tell you what, Ambassador, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. Please don't go anywhere.